election campaign, who has gone through 4 days of tumult since that election, waiting for the result. His wife, Dr. Jill Biden, an educator who has been the vice president's wife and is now going to be the president's wife, joining him there on the stage. And when she was here as the vice president's wife, she carried on teaching at a community college here in the Washington, D.C. region. We will see whether she carries on doing that. But he introduced her as the woman who would be a fine first lady. And before that, we heard from Senator Kamala Harris, who is the vice president-elect. But the speech was really one all about unity, all about unity. The family now, the Biden family, coming on stage as well. But there was Joe Biden talking about, let's give each other a chance, let's lower the temperature. We have to stop treating our opponents as enemies. I mean, it was one phrase after another that was really all about the duty of trying to bring unity to the country. If we decide not to cooperate, we can also decide to cooperate. At one point he said, it is time for our better angels to prevail. He spoke directly to the millions of Americans who had voted for Donald Trump. I understand your disappointment, he said. I've lost a couple of times myself. He has indeed. This is his third attempt at running for the presidency. And there is Kamala Harris and her husband, Doug Emhoff, coming up onto the stage as well. The vice president-elect, he was very complimentary about his vice president-elect. An important moment for women in America to see the first female vice president coming into the White House, and especially for non-white women in this country to see Kamala Harris up there on the stage. And Joe Biden thanked African-American supporters, saying, you have always had my back, I will always have your back. Finally, they get the ticker tape parade. They didn't get it in the Democratic National Convention. They are getting something resembling a more normal campaign moment at the moment. Let's go to Barbara Pladusher. She's there in that car park. She's been watching this. Barbara, I imagine the crowd loved it there in Wilmington for all the excitement and for all the fact that this is a team that has been longing to get rid of Donald Trump. It was a speech that was about reconciliation and unity. It was not a speech that was about taking grievances or getting revenge or ending things. It was about bringing the country together.
Yes, I mean, that was definitely not a low-energy speech. He was really energetic, I would say.
I think you could hear it in neighboring Pennsylvania.
Yes, possibly you could. Yeah, he was, as we expected, very much focused on this idea of reconciliation and uniting this divided country. But he was also really talking about the moment of history, seizing the moment in history, talking about this being an inflection point when the country could turn a corner, sort of comparing it to the time of Lincoln after the Civil War and FDR with the New Deal and so on, that with facing a national crisis, a pandemic, a year of upheaval, Americans could come together and create something new, and they had the ability to do it. And he kept, you know, I was saying before, he has this belief in America, and you saw that coming through throughout this speech. This is a land of possibilities. I believe in possibilities, and we can unite together to create them. So very much the kind of speech I was expecting, but it was delivered in a very captivating way. Yeah, this is a really big moment for Joe Biden.
Anthony Zerko, this was not Sleepy Joe, which is Donald Trump's favorite nickname for him, up on the stage. I mean, we knew that this was going to be a speech about unity. He had signaled that over the last few days. But it was remarkable, wasn't it? I'm going through the things that I wrote down. They are all, it's one phrase after another talking about the need to bring the country together, to lower the temperature. I think that is a phrase that will resonate with a lot of Americans. Just let's bring the temperature down and see if we can carry on getting to something like cooperation.
Yeah, it was interesting, hitting those themes time and time again. Joe Biden has obviously spoken of that before, and maybe even in an earlier time, this would be a fairly traditional speech for a politician to give, talking about unity, talking about ending acrimony, talking about the power and potential of the American people. But of course, when you put it in contrast to what has come over the past 4 years with Donald Trump's presidency, and talking about American carnage in his inaugural address, he constantly only focused on divisions within this country, then it was something different and something I think that will be well received by the American people, and particularly by the Democrats, for whom this was obviously a very cathartic moment. I mean, I was at the Javits Center for Hillary Clinton's what was going to be a victory party 4 years ago, and I remember them taking apart the confetti cannons at about 2 in the morning when it was clear Hillary Clinton had lost. Everyone, it was like a morgue in there. It was like a funeral. Everyone was so despondent. Well, now here they finally have a chance to launch those confetti cannons. If you listen to Kamala Harris's speech, she talked a lot about the historic nature of her election as the first woman vice president. After 4 years ago, when the first woman president was denied by Donald Trump, I think a lot of Democrats are going to feel some small measure of redemption now that, at least in this way, history has been made, and that glass ceiling that Hillary Clinton tried to shatter has been broken at the vice presidential level, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the ability to deliver a speech in the way that Barack Obama did, who was, a consummate speech giver, really. But some of the lines reminded me of the kind of Obama era, and it may not be possible. What he is aspiring to may not be something that can be done in the country at the moment. But things like "it is time for our better angels to prevail," I'm pretty sure I heard Barack Obama use almost exactly the same words, Anthony.
And there's no red America or blue America. There's a United States of America. I mean, that is directly a Barack Obama line from the 2004 keynote speech that he gave when he was an up-and-coming state senator. So he is drawing on Barack Obama's rhetoric clearly, and he used that during the primary campaign to connect himself to what Democrats identify as a successful presidency, to try to be the heir of that, and it helped him in the primaries, helped him win the nomination, and I think it helped him excite the base and connect with the base during the general election campaign, where he positioned himself as the legacy of Barack Obama, harkening back to a time when, at least for Democrats, those were the good old days, and that he could bring them back again.
It's 9 o'clock on the east coast of the United States. If you're just joining us, you're watching the celebrations in Wilmington, Delaware, the victory celebrations of the Biden-Harris campaign, as they have just delivered their speeches, thanking their supporters, thanking the people who voted for them. There he is, Joe Biden. He will take over as the oldest president in American history. He's tried for this job 2 times before, 3rd time's a charm. He has just been declared today the 46th president of the United States. There is the Biden family with him. He's very much a family man. This is a man who has known loss in his family. He lost his first wife. He lost his daughter in a car crash when they were very young, when he was just in his late 20s. And there he is now, surrounded with all of his family. His new wife, Jill, and their children and grandchildren as well. His vice president-elect, Kamala Harris, and her husband, Doug Emhoff, up on the stage there as well. Watching this, it makes me think, the Democrats were deprived of this opportunity, really, as to have a big celebratory Democratic National Convention. And it's the first time we've really seen, Anthony, them be able to get out on the stage and celebrate like this and have the fireworks and the ticker tape and the dancing and the music.
This has been a very unconventional campaign all the way across, at least for the Democrats. Donald Trump had plenty of campaign rallies with big cheering, adoring crowds. I went to a few of them over the past few weeks, and it seemed like each rally had a bigger crowd and a more enthusiastic crowd at each stop, where they were literally chanting, we love you" to Donald Trump. Joe Biden, as you mentioned, has not had a chance to do that. He has had very few in-person rallies, and even the ones that he did have were much smaller crowds, much more restrained. So I think he's putting a bit of that aside now. He is having a celebratory event, whether it's because now he feels more comfortable having a big crowd because he doesn't have to quite follow the same coronavirus guidelines that he was talking about throughout that campaign. I think there is probably less social distancing going on here, and they might be concerned about that message when they were hitting Donald Trump time and time again for his big rallies. But at least on this night, they feel like maybe they can ease up a little bit because this is such a big moment for Democrats and for the campaign.
They've got a screen, actually. I'm looking at that. There's a glass screen on the front of the stage. It reminds me a little bit of the Perspex panels that were there during some of the debates. I don't know if that's for coronavirus reasons or if those are there for security reasons, if they cover the whole stage, but I'm definitely seeing glass screens. And I know that during the debates, the vice presidential debate anyway, they had perspex screens between them to stop the spread of coronavirus droplets. Gary O'Donoghue, you've been watching this as well. It sounded sort of, I guess this is, having had 4 years of the Donald Trump presidency and the riffs that we have heard from Donald Trump for the last few weeks during his rallies, which had, certain themes, the way Donald Trump speaks, it just sounds so different, doesn't it, hearing Joe Biden? It's a very, he's certainly not low energy, but a very different tone and manner and way of speaking, and not talking about American carnage, talking about the country's better angels.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was at a Joe Biden event in Michigan just towards the end of the campaign last week. Very similar sort of setup with the cars and things. And that message was very clear there. He's recycled quite a lot of the stump speech into tonight's words. And as you say, those phrases like time for better angels to prevail, defeat despair, etc., etc., they're good, honest, sort of victory speech stuff. But of course, they're quite empty vessels in a sense. They have to be filled with meaning, and the meaning comes from the actions that follow. And that's what he'll be judged on, of course. Every politician, apart from Donald Trump, would make a speech like that tonight, I think. But you're right, the contrast is extraordinary. And you just wonder, don't you, just 2 blocks down the road from where I am, was Donald Trump watching that? What did he feel when he saw that? Did that change his mind, his mood in any sense whatsoever from this defiance that he's been tweeting about and talking about over the last few days? Will the fight go out of him at this stage, having seen something like that? This presumption, if you like, by the Democrats that we're just moving forward. We've won, we move forward, and January 20th, we're in the White House.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, Gary. It is rolling on Fox News. I've got that in, I'm watching that on one screen here in our studio. And Fox News did carry the whole of the event. We know that the president likes to watch a lot of television. There is Joe Biden. One of the debates that they had, Joe Biden just wouldn't leave the stage. He carried on chatting to people in the socially distanced audience and taking questions from people in the audience. Joe Biden knows almost all the people in this parking lot. He knows everybody in Delaware. He knows the people in Wilmington. They call him Joe. He's, regular Joe is what he's known as. And there he is. He's picking the people out in the crowd. He's not leaving. He is enjoying his moment of victory, as he should. He's tried to become president 3 times before, and now Joe Biden has finally made it at the age of 78. He has finally got it. He's leaving the stage now with his wife, Jill Biden. The family have all gone there.